All right, let us get to one that yes, we are probably going to argue about this one because you had in your SEC conference power rankings, you had Auburn 12th in the league. I have Auburn number 20 in the country, which I'm trying to count my SEC teams that I have above them. I think that means I have them like 7th in the SEC. So
notably, you have them above Oklahoma, Texas A&M.
Yep.
Kind of in the similar.
You have them below Kentucky and Florida as well.
I do.
Yeah. So
could
I'll
argue
give you the floor
against Kentucky,
first.
But yeah, I could argue. I could argue that you could move them up versus Kentucky. I like what Auburn has done roster wise this year. I think there's not a lot of arguments with that. For the bones of kind of what Hugh had to now what they sit here exiting the spring. Receiver position, you get the Georgia State kid, obviously Cam Coleman, 5-star freshman, Lambert from Penn State, not an all-conference guy, but a solid piece. I think there's some concerns still on the defensive line for Auburn. The offensive line should be a lot better. You get Percy from Mississippi State. It all comes back, and maybe I'm overthinking it. You know, the guys at our Auburn site would certainly suggest that is the case. But the fact that Hugh, you have the last two of the last 3 games where they just get completely smoked against New Mexico State and then in the bowl game against Maryland. And it's not like
what happened in the one in the middle?
I got you. I understand that. I'm just building the case here because my point is it's not like Auburn had a bunch of guys suddenly checking out and then transferring out of the program. This is not like Hugh did a massive culling of the roster. A lot of those guys who were in those games are back, and specifically the starting quarterback. And, the fact that Hugh basically right before the bowl game was like, Payton Thorne is my guy. And then he goes and Willy Wonks it and is like, scratch that, reverse it. We're going to reopen the job. We may look for a guy. And now we entered, or finished spring practice. And it seems like they flirt with some guys, but there's not really somebody that they're super high on. Lo and behold, it is going to be Payton Thorne. He's fine. He's a jag, whatever you want to call him. I don't think he's going to screw it up for him. I just don't know if he's a guy that's going to be capable of winning them football games. And I think 2025 is going to be the season where they get, a real dude at that position that's surrounded by these playmakers that they've added, where I'll say, hey, Auburn's a top 20 team.
Here's the thing. And I don't know what it is about Auburn. I don't know if it's the water from the municipal water supply, like that makes elite play callers not want to call plays when they're at Auburn, because it happened to Gus Malzahn, and then it happened again to Hugh Freeze when he got there. Hugh Freeze, the best thing he does is call plays, and he gets there and he's like, too much going on, not going to call plays, going to hire Phil Montgomery, going to let him call plays. Well, Hugh Freeze midway through last season realized that was a mistake. That mistake has been corrected. This is a man whose play calling scared Nick Saban so much that Nick Saban tried to change the rules. So now he's calling plays again. And oh, by the way, they've just added this new rule, speaking of changing rules, where he can just radio into his quarterback's helmet, throw it to that guy. Which, by the way, he would do before anyway. Like, there were times when he was at Liberty and Malik Willis was his quarterback, and you could see Hugh Freeze pointing, like, throw to that guy. So now he can say it without anybody seeing him.
They're not going to be as wide open as they were at Liberty. I'm not. I have.
They don't need to be. They got backs.
I got no quibbles with Hugh as a play caller. I mean, I think that his track record speaks for itself. Again, it's skepticism again, especially when we're looking at it, whether from a national perspective or the SEC. Am I going to bank on Payton Thorne? Or am I going to say, hey, I've seen some 5-star flashes from Connor Wegman. I don't know what Jackson Arnold has, but he looks like he might have
But you know where his ceiling is. Yeah,
right. He looks like he might have something. And so you start doing some of these kind of machinations and comparison between these programs. And that's just kind of how I kind of laid it.
I understand completely, but I'm telling you right now, like, now here's the adventure that is Hugh Freeze. You may have a New Mexico State game.
Right.
Like maybe that's against Louisiana Monroe and General Booty. I don't know. The danger of not showing up against a team you're supposed to beat is there. But also the thrill of beating a team you're not supposed to is there too. And you saw it last year when they played Georgia way tougher than they should have and should have beaten Alabama. Like you can get them up for those games. So Auburn fans, you're used to the roller coaster. You're on the roller coaster. I'm not predicting that you're going to win the SEC. I am predicting, actually, I have them 8th in the SEC, Jesse. So we're not as far apart as people think. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.